I share something?
Please do.
Dale's there now.
Okay, I have something super exciting. So some of you know that my day job is with NCAT and North Carolina Center for the Advancement of Teaching. And Dr. Worrell is one of our board of trustees. But this past week, we had our second annual Beginning Teacher of the Year celebration. And every district and charter school in North Carolina can nominate someone. And then districts and charter schools kind of narrow it down. And we narrowed down to 3 finalists per region, and then 3 charter school winners. And they come spend a week at NCAT learning about teacher leadership and just incredible experiences that no beginning teacher would get otherwise. They spent time with Superintendent Truitt, Dr. Terry Holliday, who is chair of the National Board for Professional Teaching Standards. I mean, just all kinds of stuff like that. So that week was great in itself, but our winner is Emily Higdon from Macon County Schools. She teaches at Union Academy, which is an alternative school. And her story is insane good. But the reason I'm leading up to is she is also in the graduate program for English education at Gardner-Webb. She wrote about that experience. I really want to share her portfolio. I'm waiting on her permission, but I want to share her portfolio with the graduate department, because she talks in that portfolio about how what she's learning from Gardner-Webb, and she didn't mention Gardner-Webb. I didn't know this until afterwards, but she talks about what she learned in that program and how it changed her teaching practices, and how that so much of what she was doing to reach those kids was because of what she learned in that program. So I can't wait to share that with you all, but that's great news for me for Gardner-Webb, and just really spoke volumes. I'm just so proud of her. And I want you all to know Emily, because she's amazing.
And Karen, Dr. Law says that's one of the best things that NCAT does.
It's incredible. It's incredible. I mean, and one of the things that Steve and I talked about was, you think about how rarely, like he is a judge. We had 11 judges, 3 separate like lightning round, like speed dating kinds of, so they're spending 10 minutes with each of the finalists. You think about how rarely in life we get a chance to just listen to somebody else talk about themselves for 10 minutes. Where it's not about us, but it's just about them. And so those judges really had this kind of life-changing experience. So it sounds fun. Really cool. So yeah, so it was a treat for all of us, but I'm super proud that she's in graduate school at Gardner-Webb. So
that is neat.
Well, good evening, everybody.
Hey.
I'm sorry to be running late here. I'm trying to email Joe Bullis the link to his Gmail account. And so, okay. And I'm trying to pull up a document if I can get File Explorer to load here.
Dr. Lamb, I am so glad to see you. They have been so unruly and just
I know, just
and
like,
Nito, why did you tell? Come
just
on.
like teachers at the faculty meeting. I know.
And
Just
Dale,
herding
Anita was
cats.
about ready to sing before you got here. So
I know.
thank goodness you're here.
Well, that would have been fine.
See, I told you I'm his favorite. It would have been fine.
Yes, that's true. All right. So let me minimize that and get out of that. First thing I want to talk about, and I'll try to be brief, we've got a 7 o'clock final town hall with our 601s tonight, trying to get them ready for summer. And that's kind of the first thing I want to talk about is, I know that things are really, really crazy here at the end of the year. I was on the phone with Lisa Stewart in Guilford just a few minutes ago, and students trying to come back. They told some of them they couldn't come back, but if they complained enough, they could. And I know it's a real crazy time. So we need to remind our students that they've got between now and basically, the rest of this semester, that they better be planning ahead. They're probably not going to be able to access PLCs, teachers, surveys, None of that stuff will happen in the last month of school. Everybody's going to be doing testing, retesting, all that's going on now. It's going to be really difficult for those, some of those activities that we have to do for the APTEL, for the 601s going to 602, where they got to do teacher walkthroughs. That's going to be difficult. That may be that they may not be able to do that. They may have to try to, maybe they can do some virtual look-ins or something, but they're going to have to be creative. The 603 people, where they've got to interview APs, they may have to wait to get that done. But definitely pulling together their crisis plan and all those things. The students going to 605, I've got my section in 603. We've got through 2 weeks early. We're going to try to knock out the first 2 tasks to the cap, where they've got to go out and interview people and gather information and resend out the low items from the teacher working condition survey. All of us need to remind our students that this is an unprecedented time, that it's always bad at this time of year trying to get people to cooperate, but it's going to be a lot worse this year than we've ever seen. And if they want to stay on track, or if they want to finish this summer, that probably the next 2 weeks is key to that. Finishing out this semester and getting everything knocked out from this semester, getting started into next semester if they can. I'm going to cover that with them tonight. The 601s going into 603 and 602, because that's the most critical. I'm going to cover that with them tonight, and cover the APTEL for those that show up, and the OMA for those that show up of the 602, rising 602s and 603s. But everybody's got to get involved with that. That's the biggie. Is it's just crazy out there in school land. For those of you who are still in the business, it's as Lisa said, it's a learning experience, except we never learn. We make the same mistakes. We're basically in trauma-informed schools now for everybody. We had the opportunity to do better, but the kids that were in trauma before didn't matter enough. And now that all kids are in trauma, we don't know what to do. And so, but that's where we are. And we won't learn. We won't make any changes this time around either. We'll just blame teachers and move on. And even though we know from the EVOS model that teachers are only 10% of their scores, we'll blame them for all of them, because it's easier to change in what we've been doing. And so our folks need to understand that's the biggie for me. The other thing is incompletes, failures, all those things. We don't want to fail anybody if we can. From this spring, we want to do incompletes. Thankfully, my 2 that had the most serious health issues are kind of back on track again, and I'm working with them a little extra on the side to try to get them going. Do what you can to get them all going if you can, when you can. But let me know. We don't want to fail anybody because they have to sit out for a whole year. And if we do an incomplete, remember, what I want to do on the incompletes is not let them take their class this summer. We'll let them take their internship, and we'll let them complete there so they won't lose their enrollment. If we drop them out of both their class and their internship, that's withdrawing from the program. They'll have to readmit and go through all that ordeal. But if we say they're not finishing 601 add-on, they haven't been able to get enough to finish, we'll give them an incomplete. We'll put them in 698 for 2 credit hours this summer. Let them finish their incomplete. That'll maintain their enrollment. But I don't see, I mean, if they're close enough that they could get it done plus their work this summer, we'll just go ahead and reduce their grade a little bit, pass them and move them on. But if they've got significant amount of work outstanding, there's no way they're going to be able to finish their regular work from their regular class and internship and what they've got left over from spring. Now, I know they all say they can, but I know hope springs eternal. I get up every morning and run to the mirror to see if my hair's grown back. But it's possible. It's just not probable. We have to work in the world of probability rather than possibility. I don't want to sell anybody short, But you know what happens when we let our heart overrule our head. They get further and further behind. They don't work. They're not able to work off their incomplete from the spring, or if they do, then they don't. Then they're in the same boat again. They can't get their summer work done, and then they won't. Then they're mad. Why have I got to do $6.99? So remembering that $6.99 has changed in the last year or so. I'm not sure that y'all all are aware of that. But here's the bottom line on that. While we're trying so hard, $6.99s are just death on us anyway, trying to catch those up. Sheena's got one she's working with now. Is she with us tonight? Let's see her. She's got one from way back.
Yes, sir, I'm here.
In the
I'm
back.
here.
He's working with Matt right now. Matt Crummy, some of y'all know Matt. He's been with us about as long as I have, but she's working with him. He's the $6.99. But here's the problem with $6.99 now, and why we're really extra trying to avoid it. They make them pay for 3 credit hours to do a $6.99, rather than in the old days when they did 1 credit hour. They charge them 3 credit hours plus all the fees. That's about $2,000. That's an extra $2,000. The 3 credit hours is just a couple dollars shy of. The credit hours for the fall are going to be $4.98 per credit hour. So that's $6 short of $1,500. They're also charging them, they'll charge them a portfolio fee of $107. They'll charge them a technology fee as well. And so by the time that they get through paying all their fees and paying their tuition for the fall, $6.99 is about a $2,000 ordeal now. It's no longer that $400 we used to charge. And so if that's the case, we need to do everything we can, to avoid them eventually having to go to $6.99. That's when they finish all their coursework and they hadn't finished their portfolio, even if they've just got $2,000. So, we need for them to understand it's not a decision then, it's a decision now but you'll have to pay for this later. And so they're better off, if they're going to have to take an extra semester, they're better off to take the class. I will let them just do the class and not take the internship. So for example, if they take the internship this summer, and they're still not able to get done, they can finish up later. But if they finish up their internship and their coursework and they still haven't finished, which is what we're talking about, they're going to have to pay $2,000 to finish. So you need to monitor that. The emails come across my desk every day. I see that you're reminding them of the work that they've got outstanding. We got I know I'm preaching to the choir here, but we got to keep up with that. There will be some, and I'll shift gears now, looking at our time. There will be some changes to the summer schedule. I'm gonna have to collapse some things and move some things around for summer. I don't have that completed yet. We're meeting tomorrow with a graduation meeting, and we're gonna talk about those things. Program coordinators are meeting tomorrow morning. And so I will have a better idea of what our summer schedule is going to look like. I'm going to have to collapse some sections of probably not classes, but internship. And I can tell you why. I'll just go ahead and tell you. As you know, Kathy Simpson retired, left, or whatever, and she did contracts, and they're looking to. So they're going to have to pick that up. They've not been able to employ another person in that position yet. So I will do the stipend report as I always do. I've been doing it for a while anyway. But the person that does contracts, they're looking for going into summer when everybody's an adjunct. They're looking for a way to consolidate the amount of work it's going to be to put together the contracts for the summer. So they're looking for us to consolidate sections on, especially on the adjunct contracted work. It would seem like to me just a few extra minutes, but not to them. So we're meeting about that tomorrow as well. So that's going to mean that when the music stops, some of you aren't going to have a seat. It's not going to be too bad, I hope. But there, it's easier for them. The more work you have, the easier it is, rather than different people, different contracts. It should not affect instructors at all. It affects the adjunct coaching and visiting and those kind of thing contracts. And so I'm sure I will have to consolidate one just to make them happy. That you know, it's more of a, you know, a symbolic gesture, but everybody's got to pitch in and work together right now, kind of thing. So, but I'll know more about that after that. Let's talk about, let's move quickly to commencement. If you read all the commencement stuff and it didn't make any sense to you and it sounded like it was maybe not the best idea or plan, then you are correct. You have correctly assessed the situation. I have never in my life seen such a debacle, but it wasn't my plan. And so here's the best that I know right now. It's going to be both Friday night and Saturday. It's not an option which one. One is Saturday is a continuation of Friday, and we're going to be outside. It just gets better and better. Now, my understanding of what's going to happen Friday night is that's when all the speechifying takes place and the processional and the pomp and circumstance, and they're going to hood doctorals on Friday night. So none of you folks who are not full-time should worry about Friday night. None of our students are going to be, none of the MELS students are going to be there Friday night. But that's when all the ceremonies are going to take place and all that for the university, the president, and all that. So we're going to march in on Friday night. How we're going to hood the doctorals, I don't know, but we're going to find out about that tomorrow as well. But then Saturday, that's the day if you folks want to come. But again, it's going to be outside. And so I would think long and hard about that. So what's going to happen on Saturday is we will have a tent out in the field. I can't make this up. We'll have a tent out in the field, and we're going to meet at this tent. We'll have a big sign that says School of Education. And this spring's graduates, plus graduates from the last 3 semesters, are all invited to come. And we're going to meet at that tent, and at 11:30, we will process as a school into the stadium and have our ceremony. Now, what that ceremony, we've got from 11:30, and we got to be out of the stadium by 1:30. So that means get together. We'll have to process in, have our roll call where they all get to go across the stage and hear their name, come back out, have whatever ceremony we're going to have, either, you know, speechifying or whatever. Now, I've recommended that we only have a student speaker, that we don't have, you know, the faculty. That's the night before. If you feel the need to speak the night before, because I don't know how in the world we're going to get this many people through and get them back out. We've got to be back out at our tent at 1:30. We've got 2 hours total, is my understanding, from 11:30 to 1:30. We got to be back at a different tent out in the field at 1:30. At that part, we will have some sort of reception ceremony there at 1:30 out in the field. And again, it's going to be a different tent than we were before. I don't know if it'll be a better tent or a worse tent. It's just going to be a different tent. And so that is where we will be. But we're going to proceed in as a group. If you're going to come and process with us as usual, you'll need to be in your regalia. You will not have to be in regalia if you simply show up at 1:30 at our tent. It's going to be somewhere out on the field near the stadium. I don't know exactly where yet, but if it were me and you were interested in seeing any of that, again, add-ons are not invited. They can't even come to the reception because of space, because they're doing 4 semesters at one time. The add-ons are not invited. We've already, you know, Steve and we've done something. Steve's done something in his classes. We've done some things for them. We're not on cycle this semester, so they said no. We've got 2, probably 1, who's going to get, that's off cycle, going to get their certificate, but they are not invited. I asked specifically, and they said no, because if we invite the 1 or 2 from this semester, then that means we got to invite the 200 from the previous 4 semesters, and we don't have room for them. So I hate that they're so, but we'll only have our graduates. So if you work with the add-ons, and so you will not see any of them. So for those of you who work with master students, if you want to come, my recommendation would be is to show up at 1:30 at the second tent. It's again supposed to have a sign on it that says School of Education, and that's where we'll be at after we process in. Now, if you want to come and process in, remember you'll need your regalia. I'm quite sure I have not consulted the Farmer's Almanac, but I'm quite sure that it will be a millennial flood, either Friday night or Saturday or both. It always is. You know, we are always worried about getting to the gym in the rainstorm. So except this time we'll be standing out under a tent in a rainstorm.
With lightning.
With lightning, of course. Those of y'all, what was it, the very last ceremony that we had inside, we were in the middle of that lightning storm that, and we had to get from the school. Yeah, you remember, it'll be that way again. Guaranteed, it'll be exactly that way again. And so I'd love to see you all. I know the students would like to see you. I hate that we're not going to be able to invite the add-ons since that's the bulk of our program. But for our master students, if you want to see them, again, you'll need to be there under the tent at 11:30 to process with us. And, absent that, you can be there at 1:30 in dress clothes if you just want to say hey to all of them. I'm quite sure that that after 3 o'clock, in the afternoons, there's no COVID at Gardner Webb. They just do whatever they want to. They're just in a pile. And I'm quite sure that during the day, since we're outside, we're doing this to beat the COVID restrictions. So we're going to be outside, but there'll be babies and, families and the whole deal. It will be a high risk endeavor. And so that needs to be factored in as well. I'm sure there'll be some mask wearing and there'll be some that won't be. And we will be outside, but we'll be under a tent. And so it'll be kind of close quarters. And so, quite honestly, I'll be happy. I'll feel better if nobody comes. But if you want to, I'd love to have you. It's not that we don't want to see you. It's just a high risk endeavor, and it's high risk being outside in the stormy weather. It'll be all of that, and it won't be. It won't be as good as the indoors have been, but supposedly we're going to move to outdoor air all the time, which we'll see how that goes. But so this is the trial run. So that's what's happening on graduation weekend. Let me look at my calendar. Make sure I have this part right. So we're talking about Friday night, May the 7th, and Saturday, May the 8th is what we're talking about. Again, Friday night, y'all don't come to Friday night because that's for doctorals only and for the ceremony. Our time is 11:30 to 1:30 with the reception at 1:30 on Saturday. I don't know how parking is going to be because right now, according to Luann, at last count, they had 662 confirmed showing up, and that was last week. The best guess is we'll have over 700 people showing up that are either doctorals, masters, or undergraduate from 4 semesters, plus all of their relatives and folks. I don't know where we're going to park all these people. I'm guessing. I don't know where they're going to park all these folks. And so that's going to be something so I would say that if you're going to try to be here for 11:30, you need to show up probably no later than 10:30 to find a parking place, and probably have to. I'm hoping they'll have the golf carts out to try to transport people, but I don't know how that's going to go either. The logistics of this thing appear to me to be a nightmare, but what do I know? All right, so that's what I've got for you tonight. Again, there'll be an adjustment probably to the summer schedule, but probably only for adjuncts as a result of trying to accommodate the fewer contracts. And then graduation, keeping up with our students. For those of you, I think I sent the notice to everybody, we're doing the final town hall for the 601s tonight, but please remind your students to get a jump on their summer work and to work around their school and try to tread lightly. Administrators have got real short tempers right now. To try to tread lightly about having meetings, another survey, you know, that kind of stuff is, you know, that's going to have to come to a halt here in a couple of weeks. So remind them all. All right. Anything y'all have for me this evening? I appreciate what you do for me and for our students. We've had a good semester. This one has been in many ways harder than the last 2 or 3. My students have been much more impacted by COVID this semester and other things in their lives. The job situations are getting tough. You know, folks losing their job, the financial strain. It's getting to be this semester's been tougher for my folks, without a doubt. So, and I know it's been tough on everybody. So I'll open up the floor now.
Dr. Lamb, I'm going to do what I did, I think, a couple of semesters ago, and I'm not sure if it's going to be this coming a week from tomorrow or the Tuesday after, but I'm going to do a CAP overview that I'll record for my 603 add-ons, and I'll share that with you. And if anybody wants to use it, feel free.
Yeah. I've already done it one time with my 603s, but I'm going to do it again this coming week. I've got it built in my schedule. I did it right before the Easter break for the ones that were furthest ahead, but everybody else, our pacing is this week.
We're just all over the place. Yeah.
We start the CAP this week in my group. So I'll cover the CAP again on Wednesday night, but I covered it Wednesday night 2 weeks ago going into the break for those that were ahead. I had a good many that were ahead and they've already gotten started. So I've got some that's already turned in some of the CAP. And so I'll remind you, those in 603, you'll need to put some links to discussion board for them to put their CAP 1 and 2 in. Not just the CAP, but like the OMA in the 601 shell and the APTEL in the 601 regular shell, where they can get your feedback on it. You can go ahead and drop in a Dropbox for your discussion board. And that links back to discussion board. And I went ahead and put in assignment Dropbox for the first 2 since I'm requiring it in mine. And let me share my screen and show you that. Share screen. And so let me go to Blackboard right quick. And so what I did in my 603 shell, I'll have to go here and then here. So what I did under my CAP materials folder, I went ahead and put in a link for CAP, you know, and this is, you would do this for the OMA for those of you teaching 601 add-on. If you're teaching 601 regular, you do this for the APTEL. If you're teaching 603, obviously you do it for the CAP. If you're teaching 604, you can do it as well where you are in your pacing. So I've got where they can put it in for my review. It goes straight to discussion board. If we went to discussion board, it would be there. So I put these in, and I've done the assignment Dropboxes for mine since I'm requiring mine to do it. And so if we look at discussion board, you can see where it's here, and you can go in from the class, you can go in from here and put it in and then link it backwards, or you can put it in here and link it forwards, whichever way that you know how to add things to your discussion board. I can show you either way. to do that. You know, you can go to discussion board and create a new thread. You know, create a new forum. You can go in this way, or you can actually go here to where you have your materials and do a tool link back to discussion board and build it that way. You can build it either way. And of course, you know how to do an assignment Dropbox. If I can move this out of the way.
Gail, just like with the 601 students, if we go in there, the only thing that we really need to focus on is if they submit something, just to review it and give them comments only.
Yeah. That's why I said, I put in the Dropbox as extra because I'm requiring mine to do
Right.
that. It's extra long spring semester. I went ahead and pasted mine so that we had time to get to both of them. Now, if you didn't paste them, then I wouldn't put Dropboxes in. If you just gonna leave it
Yeah.
optional for them to get to Cap 1 and 2. But I built it into my weekly schedule. I paste them quicker so that it's actually part of the requirements for the course. But otherwise, you would just do the review. And if you required it, you can put your Dropbox in. Of course, just come here and go to where it says assignment under assessment to build your Dropboxes if you're going to actually give them a grade. But see, I paste mine so that they would get a grade. So if you look at, you know, the weekly schedule, mine are, if it'll pop up. So mine actually finished their skip last week. And it was in this week. So we've got 3 weeks here at the end to do the cap. And so that's the way I paced mine. Okay. All right, Steve. Steve's got 6:30 Zoom. He's got to go. So that's what I did. So, but if you didn't pace them that way and you just want to give them the opportunity, just put in the link to discussion board so you can give them comments, or you know, your coach can do that. Your coach has already got that built out in their shell. We build those completely out. So just like Joe's with us tonight, he's already got the drop boxes in his shell. So you can tell him, he'll give them comments on if you want your coaches to do it, or if you're an instructor. It's according to how you want to handle that. But so yeah, tonight at 7, we're going to remind them and show them. And I'm going to cover the first couple of tasks of the AppTel. If we have any of the 601 regulars show up, I will definitely cover all of the OMA for the 603s add-ons. I'll make sure that they've got that. I'll cover those. As I said, we're covering the cap in class. And so we should be good. And if Karen will share her video with us, we'll make sure that we get those to the other 603 instructors as well. So I think we're good. The spring has always the longest semester, and it's in many ways, it feels like it's gone quickly, but I think this, because of all the stress that our students have been under, this has been the longest one for me. But they have really, I've had 2 with really very serious health problems, and they both come around. So I'm pleased with that. Right now, we're doing well. I don't have any that aren't participating, so I hope it's the same for you. All righty.
Bill, when will we have access to our summer shells? When do you expect that?
I thought maybe it would be
Saw it
this week.
today.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Do what now?
I thought I saw it today.
So I mean, I thought it would be this week. I hadn't checked mine, but I thought it would be this week. That's what they announced. That's why I was blowing my air. I was hoping it was going to be should be there now. If not,
Okay.
you know, it might be tomorrow, but they're supposed to be there this week. That was the promise, that they would open them up, that we could get started with them. Now we'll build out, just like Terry, we'll build out. Steve will build his and then we'll use it, but y'all will need to get together on your weekly schedule. But for a 605, we'll let Steve build his out and then I'll copy it into yours. That way, and then you can customize what you want to do out of that. But I would not suggest trying to build it from the very beginning. That takes about a week. And so we'll let him
Thank
build
you.
his out. I'll go in and copy it over and clean it up and get it ready for you. That's why I said I was planning on doing that later this week, and they're all there once he gets his in. So we'll work on shelves.
Thank you.
During this week, and they should be ready for you hopefully by the end of the week. Your shelves will be ready for you. I don't need to sleep that much anyway, so I'll get to that this week after the meeting tomorrow. We're trying to get everything ready for that.
Dr. Lamb, my 605 is ready with the dates and stuff in there. You feel free to use that.
I can use
Remember,
that one then.
I went back to mine from last summer and I've updated it with the new information. So feel free to use that one
Yeah,
already.
I can use Danny's then, because his is off of that. I can get that copied over. I'll look at that. I'll write myself a note.
The only thing, Terry and whomever, it has, it's got my personal information in there.
I'll take all that out. I
Okay,
take all
gotcha.
that out.
But mine is built with the 11 weeks, because we said to try to pace it for 11 weeks. So mine is built with that 11 weeks in there.
Yeah. Now, if you want to change the pacing back to 10 and give them a week off, that's going to be a struggle in 605. I'll just tell you, because getting everything done now. So even if you do that, even if you change back to a 10-week, you leave the pacing at 11.
Right.
Don't give them a week off on that. You can give them a week off from class, but the pacing continues. It's the only way we can make it work in the summertime.
And we start
Otherwise-
the week of May 16th.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you can start that week. Remembering, looking at the calendar, officially summer school doesn't start till like that Wednesday, but we can start on that Monday if you want to have class on that Monday. But if you go in, so I have Wednesday class, so my first class is on the 19th that week. But if don't wait till the next week. If you start Monday or Tuesday, go ahead and get started that week, so that way you get your full 11 weeks. And so what I do is I am going to do a week with no class, but because I've got a KTA deal going on the next morning, and so or that evening into the next morning. So I'm going to go ahead on the 7th of July and not do class, but now my pacing guide will still be on 11 weeks. And they've got 10 plus the final, so they've actually got 12 weeks of components for the summer in 605. And you can't, we can squeeze it into 11, especially if they've knocked out the first two components of the CAP, the first two tasks. If they've knocked those out, then we can make it pretty comfortably. But if they haven't done that, if they didn't, if they didn't take the bit and run with it, they've got four tasks from the CAP, and the fourth one is not writing their competencies. It's 4 real tasks, and then there's 6 tasks of the SOP. That's 10 plus the final, the week to put the final together. That's 12 weeks right there, folks. I mean, we can't.
Right.
We got to squeeze that 11th week out in summer school. And then
Dale, I'm sorry.
no,
Remind them to when you submit, when you send that over, if you will look in Blackboard under the materials for the CAP and the SIOP, both of them, I created helpful hint documents last summer that I mean, use it. It helped my students tremendously, and it
Yeah.
helped with the pacing. So make sure you look for those documents in there that I created last summer.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dan.
Now, I am, Anna, I'll send you, if you're still with us, I'll send you the link. I don't know if you're still with us or not.
And if
I'll send
Dr.
you-
Lamb, if anybody is coaching in those classes, those helpful hint documents will help them
Yeah.
with their coaching as well.
Yeah. Well, last thing is, and the reason I've been on this rant about summer school, there is a proposal. I'll just tell you right now, there's a proposal to cut summer school to 8 weeks. We voted on it last week. I don't know how the vote turned out, though. They didn't tell us what the outcome of the vote, but the faculty voted on it last week. Full-time faculty voted on that, on the proposal to move summer school to 8 weeks. And so I have some voted no and even wrote in, you know, we can't get our folks through. You know, there's no way we can get this done in 8 weeks.
Dale, we'll have to take away shoelaces and belts if we try to do that. To
I
these
know.
candidates.
I'm telling you, folks will just, then they'll be self-harm going on much. And if they could get to me, they'd harm me. But when I saw that come across, I was just beside myself. But there is a proposal, and the faculty did vote last week. I'm betting that the faculty voted to go to 8 weeks.
They'll have to finish before they get started.
I know. I know.
Literally, you have to
I
finish
know.
your work before you can get started.
And, you know, and we have to start ending them up 2 weeks early. You know, their evidences are due 2 weeks before, you know, before the end of the semester. So we're already down to 8 or 9 with all those, you know, with 12 different, you know, turn-ins to do. We're already down to 8 or 9. Now they want to cut it down. And so everything, all of their evidences would be due 6 weeks after summer school starts. There's no way.
And that's what they'll end up doing, is nothing but evidence work. There won't be time to do anything else.
Do anything else. It'll just knock all of our content out. That's exactly right. What we'll have to do, either that or we'll have to go back and change the pacing where they have to do, where the master students would have to do 3 evidences in the first 2 semesters. And then, I mean, that's the only way is that they would have to do that, and we'd have to work around summer school according to whether they were spring or fall start. And so we would get back into that deal where they would start an evidence one semester and finish it the next, which is never good. That's the only, and for the add-on licensure people, we'd have to do the same thing. At some point we'd have to do 3 into, you know, we'd have to pick up an extra one so that when they got to the summer, the only thing that would be left would be the SIOP. If we only got 8 weeks, they got, you know, that's all they can do is the SIOP in the summer. If we're, you know, it'd be a fool's errand to try to continue, you know, with 2 evidences in the summer for 8 weeks. We'd have to restructure how we do our evidences entirely if we get cut to 8 weeks in summer.
But some add-ons could not handle 3 evidences in a semester.
Well, I know.
It's almost impossible for some of them to handle 2.
I know.
Right, and at the end of the school year, that's right on top of, like, we start in May for the end of the school year, so that's right on top of their end of the year school stuff.
That is correct. But for those folks who, you know, I don't know where this is coming from, this move to 8 weeks. I don't know if they're going to try to pay less money or what the deal is, but you know, 10 weeks and squeezing an 11th week out of 10. I mean, we're already doing that to try to get as much time as we can. And that's still making it just almost unbearable, but cutting 2 more weeks off, that's gonna be a tough assignment. I can tell you that. But you know, I will be calling on you folks for ideas and suggestions if we have to do that. But you know, what I don't like too is we're gonna have to do. We're gonna have to either figure out a way to do more, you know, figure out how to squeeze more time out to do evidences, or as you said, we're gonna have to take content out of courses. I mean, as I have to remind my wife quite frequently, there's a time-space continuum. I'm just one man, and I can only be in one place at one time. And so she really enjoys
Dr. Lamb,
pointing that out, too.
our classes are in there for the summer. I just checked.
Yeah, they're supposed to be there today. So
They are there.
I hadn't had time to check today, but they were supposed to be there today. So I'm glad of that. So I'll copy this over to you and clean it up and get you ready to go. And I'll send you an email when it's ready.
Thank
All
you.
right. We better sign off so we can sign back in. Dr. Maraglia, I'll send you the link to our session tonight. We'll be on just in a few minutes. Those of you who'd like to join us, I appreciate your time as always. I will see you again soon.
Thanks,
Good
guys.
night.
Good night.
Good night.